Welcome back to another episode of the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten. And in this episode, I wanted to talk to you about moving the energy, moving the stagnant energy that you may be surrounded in, even though you are busy. You're a doer, you're getting work done, you have multiple things that you're juggling at one time with career, family, home life, and trying to figure out what the hell to do about your relationship. And you feel like you're doing all the things, but nothing is actually changing the reality. So the one thing that rapidly shifts things when you are doing everything that you know how to do, like I believe that you have tried everything. If you are anything like the women that I have worked with, you have tried so many things to try and quote unquote fix and heal your relationship, or just finding a way to tough it out, hunker down, and just get through, telling yourself it's not that bad, telling yourself you're making too big of a deal, telling yourself that it could be much worse, or that what if you don't find someone that's as good, or maybe you'll find someone that's worse, or all the stories that you may tell yourself that actually keep you doing the same things. So the thing that needs to shift is that you have to shift those thought forms and those belief systems that drive the action. So depending on what actions you're taking and the things that you're doing, where I would go with this if I was talking with you is, okay, so what is it in here that you're not aligned with? Like, who is it that you need to be to actually get what it is that you want? And so what women want that come into my world, they're like, I just want to know, can this thing be fixed? I'm so done with this. I'm over feeling like shit. I'm over dealing with this. I know that I need to do something about it, and I'm ready to, like, they're in a sense of urgency. They're ready to do something about it. Doesn't mean there isn't fear, hesitation, doubt, but they're in this new space and they're at this new stage where they want to move. Like, let's go. I want to do something about this. Show me the map. Show me what to do. And then from that place, you are taking different actions. And so when you start to do things that are the opposite of what you have been doing, things start to move really quickly. And when you have a plan and you have a strategy and you have clarity on what that process is, that helps you move the energy and the momentum even faster. When you have so many things on the go and you're juggling all of the things, I get it. You want a condensed solution, like give it to me straight, give it to me now. You don't want a long drawn out process when you get to this place. When you get to this place of readiness, which I call the 5th stage of awakening, I talk about this in my Awaken to Clarity bootcamp. You can grab that in the show notes. That's a good place to start if you're newer here or you have not taken any of my programs or any of my classes. That's a really perfect place to start. And in that, I talk about and I share my model of the 5 levels of awakening that every woman must go through who is experiencing destructive relationship patterns, narcissistic abuse, manipulation, gaslighting. The 5 stages she has to go through in order to get to conviction and be at the level of readiness to take the action to leave. And so the truth is that you have gone through each of these stages, even as someone who is high functioning and you're a high achiever, you are constantly busy doing, give me the next thing, checking off lists. So to you in your mind, you're like, I'm doing everything. I don't know what else to do. And I don't even know what my next step should be. And I'm juggling kids, young kids, work dynamics, home, all those things that go underneath that. You don't have time to be dabbling in things that aren't going to move the needle forward. You're ready. And so when you have that level of readiness, you need to move swiftly. You just move. And when you start to move, it's like something, another force, and this is the only way I can describe it, is it will move you. And you will have this inner voice that's like, I need to get out. I need to get out. There's an inner voice that moves you forward, that there is no going back. It is a threshold you have crossed. there is no going back, whether it's still sad and it's unfortunate and you wish it could be different, or you wish that there was a way to salvage things. You get to a point where you know, because you've gone through a process of clarity, to know this is not going to change and I need to get out. And so what I see with women who get to that level, especially when they have done the part in the cycle program where I walk them through how to set your needs, boundaries, and ultimatums, when they start to implement this, and this is what I've seen across the board for the last 6 years as I've been running this exact program with updates and improvements, but really it's the same principles of you need to get to this level of owning your needs, your boundaries, and your ultimatums. But it ends up creating quite a stir within the dynamic, which it is meant to, and it will. And this is what you have been missing, right? You've been doing everything to not rock the boat, to keep the peace, but look where that has gotten you. And so if you are in a place where you're ready to move the needle forward in a way that you have not previously done with everything else that you've tried, and you want a solution, you want to figure this thing out already, then I invite you to hop into my 30-day End the Cycle bootcamp. Now, one of the things that I want to address here is that I know the nature of my work can make it feel kind of unsafe to enter in a group dynamic or a group program, or feel like you're coming on a group Zoom coaching call and you don't want to necessarily come on and talk about your very personal, traumatic, even embarrassing, you might be feeling shame around what you're going through, and coming on the Zoom call might feel intimidating. So I have heard this over the years from women, and yet I still continue to offer the groups because there were still women that would come on. They were like, just come on and do it anyway. So it's different comfort levels, right? And different stages of readiness, but also the social media aspect. So I haven't had my groups on social media, like my paid program groups on Facebook, for quite some time. And so I've changed those two things, because again, that was an area where women were concerned about their spouses somehow getting into their social media and seeing what they were posting in groups. So obviously we do not want that. You want to do this work behind the scenes as discreetly as possible. And one of the things that can happen that I have seen repeatedly, time and time again, is when women are implementing the changes, is that they start getting, their partners can start getting really hostile and really like questioning, like, where are you getting this information from? Like, who's putting this in your head, or things like that. And frankly, I had one male reach out to me many months ago with a long drawn out email that he found his wife's work or something to that degree. And he went on and on to just carry on about all the things she's done and how she's abusive and this, that, and can you help me? It just sent chills down my spine, right? Because I just had this spidey sense, like, this is what they do, right? They try to paint themselves as the victim in this. And so, like, I know that no abusive narcissist is going to be signing up for my course, right? So it was one of those things that I just say, like, yes, be careful, because they are capable of anything. They will go into your email. They don't care. They will read your emails. So have everything double authenticated where someone can't get into your phone without your facial recognition. Plus they have to text you to get into your email. Like, yes, be very careful. But, this is why I stopped. I've done a few things. So I stopped doing the group online calls, because it was one of those things women were they were investing in it, but they weren't showing up. So I kind of felt that was their choice. But I always felt like kind of this like lack of integrity or something, where I charge for the coaching, but they weren't showing up. So I was like, this doesn't feel right to me, even though it wasn't my responsibility. I was offering the service. But over the years, I've just gotten a lot of feedback around, a lot of us women who are busy, we're behind the scenes doing so many things, juggling so many things, that you don't necessarily want to be having to make time to get on a group call. It maybe doesn't work with your schedule. You don't have the time, or you don't have the bandwidth. Totally understand that. And so what I've done with the program now is that I have a discrete area in each module that you can leave questions. You can post any questions regarding that module. And then what I do is I create a batch of podcast episodes for the private podcast that's in the program. It's the Endless Cycle private podcast. And so all of the questions will be answered in audio form by me in a way that benefits the whole. So I will choose ones that would actually help more people, less specific ones, more generalized questions that will help more than one woman. And so I will select from those and then upload those to the portal. And so I think it's important when we're dealing with such a sensitive subject matter to recognize that it can be hard to reach out and go and get help. This is especially true if you have a high-level career, or you have a brand, or you're a therapist or psychotherapist. I tend to attract a lot of therapist types. And then you kind of feel this, like, I don't want a client of mine or something to be on one of these calls, and here I am hopping on Zoom. Like, I get it. You want to make sure that you're not putting yourself out there in that position. And so this is why I've completely changed the format of this particular program, because of the sensitive nature of what you're all dealing with. But you can still get your questions answered or post them up in the portal. But really, a lot of times there's not a lot of questions because I cover everything so in depth. So if you want to check that out, head to the link in the show notes and you can get started today. So that wraps up this episode. And really, again, the moral of the story is remember that you've got to just move. You've got to go. If you get that sense in you that there's an urgency that comes within you that you need to get out, you have to trust that intuition and ride that energy, like ride that wave, because it will carry you very far and things can really happen very swiftly. You want the energy to be swift. When we are healing, that is slowing down, that is going within, that is all crucial. It really is. And even though I have you doing some of that stuff within the program, the truth and the reality really is that the work you're going to do on the other side of leaving is going to be more of that slowing down, softening, feminine energy healing on the other side, because you can't do that work when you're in it. You can start it and you can make a lot of changes, believe me. But you can't necessarily get to those deeper levels of emotional healing when you're in these relationships. And so you are wanting to just, as you start taking one action, it starts to perpetuate the energetic movement. It gets the ball rolling, and then it gets that momentum up, and then you just keep going. And that is how you shift. And it's really about understanding how energy really works. It's about doing something different. It is about stepping into your power. And you do that through having new insights, new awareness, and new knowledge, new tools, and changing the way that you're seeing yourself, your situation, your capabilities, what you can and cannot do. And from that new place, you start taking different types of actions, which then creates different types of results. So that wraps up this episode. I hope this has been helpful for you and you've taken something away. And if you have not already, please leave me a review on iTunes and Spotify if you love the show. I always appreciate those reviews. And if you have not already checked out my new private podcast feed, the 1% Woman podcast, then head to the link in the show notes to get your hands on that. Right, I think right now there's 5 episodes in there, and they're all about when you're done talking about your relationship and you're ready to do something about it. It's for women who are ready to make a move. And you can find that once again in the show notes link. All right, bye for now.